Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast to help you and your family cruise a little smarter. And I'd like to welcome back to the show. We got the whole cast today, all the way out in Florida. How are you doing today, Christy?
I am well, Steve.
And down in Los Angeles, the rain has moved through, the sun is shining, and Chris has got a smile on his face. How are you doing today, Chris?
Good. You're right. It's gorgeous. There's never, we were texting, there's never a prettier day in LA than like a day or two after rain. It is so crystal clear and gorgeous.
We were flying the next day, and it was just amazing seeing the sky in the evening. So I will maybe try and get some pictures out for everybody to see that. It was amazing. But hey, you know what, guys? You know what? One of my favorite things to do on this podcast?
Listen to violin music?
Yeah. My favorite thing to do is to talk to you is to listen to violin music on a ship, maybe.
Oh, okay. On the actual podcast. Let's see.
Exactly. So one of my favorite things to do is to be able to showcase and talk to some of the actual performers that we as cruisers get to see on the ship. And we're pretty excited today because, Christy, I'm going to let you introduce our guest.
When I cruised the Fantasy in September, I saw on the stupid online navigator, not the printed navigator, that there was a Taylor Swift cover session. And I was like, what is this? And so I walked down to whatever that bar is that you have to walk through to get to the other bars. Of course, I know none of the names of anything, even though I've been on way too many cruises to not know their names. And it was violinist. And I was like, what? I clearly didn't pay that much attention. I missed that it was a violinist, and it was amazing. And I went up and stalked that violinist afterwards and said, I need to talk to you, and I have a podcast. Will you come on? That violinist said, why, yes, my contract's over in November. I put it in my phone so that I could find him after. And let me just say, you guys, I am so excited that we have on today Jordan Caswell, who was on the Disney Fantasy as a violinist and plays the coolest music ever on a violin.
Well, thank you. It was definitely the Disney dream, but I'll forgive you.
Well, I was on 3 cruises and I don't remember.
Christy doesn't know what the name of the ship she's on while she's on it because she goes on a cruise every week.
It was every 3 weeks.
And it's not as important, you know.
No, so fine. You were the memorable part. The problem is you're right. I had zero idea what ship I was on, but you were the thing I remembered. So
thank you.
Steve wasn't on the Fantasy, so it couldn't have been on the Fantasy that I saw you. And Steve saw you on the ship, and there you go, my brains.
I don't know if I told you, but I do. Now I can say I am actually going to be on the Fantasy next. So I'm excited.
Maybe that's why I got it. No, I'm just wrong sometimes. I am so excited. You go back on Disney Cruise Line in January, right?
Yes.
Because I am a full fan now. So I follow you on Instagram.
So now you had to come. Perfect.
What was your contract? How long were you on the Dream?
I was on the Dream from August 5th to November 26th.
Very long time. And we need to go back in time. Steve has a whole little sheet that he wrote up of questions, and we've jumped around, and Chris and I could be anywhere and never on the right page. But so let's go back to the beginning. How, I guess.
To the back to.
Yeah. When you were 4.
I've seen it too many times. I'm so sorry.
That's awesome.
The sorcerer who started it all. Okay. I'm sorry. We're done.
Well, welcome to the show, Jordan. Really appreciate you doing this. It's fun to bring your stories and some of the entertainer stories out on our podcast. And I guess just to kick it off, could you give us a little bit about, before we talk about actually playing the violin, could you give us a little bit about your Disney background and your cruising background? Had you been on a cruise before, and what draws you to Disney?
I actually had never been on a cruise before.
Wow.
So that was a crazy experience. Not as a guest.
You had never been on a cruise, and then you were on a cruise for 4 months. Okay. That's amazing. Yep. Carry on.
Pretty crazy. My experience with Disney, I grew up on Disney, as a lot of people do. When I was about 2 or 3, I don't know if I told you this while you were on the cruise, but the movie Peter Pan and the music from Peter Pan really just kind of, I loved the strings. I would run around as a kid, pretending to be Peter Pan and fight my brother with plastic swords. my favorite ride was Peter Pan from Disneyland. We lived in California. And so that's kind of what actually got me into wanting to play the violin as well, because I loved the strings from that. And so like Disney kind of started everything for me. Started playing piano. I loved just music because of Disney. So yeah, I can talk forever too.
No, it's okay. I love this.
Then I was working at a restaurant, and I feel like I'm probably going to answer like all of your questions, but I was working at a restaurant. My friend's mom texted me and was like, Disney's looking for a violinist. And I was like, no way. So I went ahead, and we can tell this story in a second, so I don't spoil the story. But anyway, long story short, it was very, very crazy to me that I had an opportunity to even audition to perform on a Disney cruise. Now I'm one contract behind me and multiple contracts ahead of me.
They liked you. And the fact that they're bringing you back for more contracts is so cool, because it means that, especially on Disney Cruise Line, those like guest satisfaction surveys that the, guests fill out at the end of every cruise.
Yeah.
They like require those folks to rate you highly for them to be like, come on back, we want you again. So I think that's so awesome that so many people were like, yes, more of this violinist who plays Taylor Swift.
I honestly, it was the Taylor Swift sets. They got all the guests to enjoy. I swear, everyone came to that set and it was so much fun.
She's awesome.
Oh, she's amazing. If I could ever open for her, or even just perform with her, or like record on a track with her.
Could you imagine?
Well, we have really good news for you, because
happen.
Taylor Swift is one of our biggest fans of the podcast. She's definitely listening to this.
Just because I'm here, she might listen.
She might. We have to get her. Have you tried? Has anybody tried reaching out to her because with your like violin set? It's amazing.
I think I tagged her in one thing. So I am going to start trying to do TikTok. That's my whole thing. Is everyone's like going to TikTok. I'm going to start posting some of my videos from my sets once I'm on the fantasy on TikTok. But I tagged her in one. So maybe she's seen it. Maybe she hasn't. We don't know.
Keep doing it. Keep tagging her.
And just over and over again until she has to answer.
Let's go back to the beginning a little bit and talk about just the violin. So you talked about Peter Pan and the influence of the music. When did you actually start playing the violin? And the other question I have after that is, you play the electric violin on the ships. Do you have a preference between that and just a classical? I might say I'm not a musician.
Acoustic, right?
I'm not sure what the right word is, but just other than an electric violin.
Ooh, that's a good question.
So kind of when did you first start playing? And then what are your thoughts on the different violins?
I started actually playing when I was like 10. My sister played for a year before me. And so I like snuck her violin when I was like 8 years old. And I would like try and learn how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb by ear, because I wanted to like one up her. And
did it work?
It did. I definitely one upped her. I'm not going to lie. You can ask her. Violin wasn't as much her thing. But my parents were like, you can't play the violin until you're in 5th grade. You had to play the piano, learn like the basics. And I was like, I want to play it. So I would sneak it. But I started taking lessons when I was 10, and I actually started with fiddle over classical or like Suzuki or anything. And so I think that's very influenced in the way I play my music. On the electric and like acoustic side of things, I do play an electric violin on the Disney cruises. I actually play both. I brought both of my violins, and I honestly prefer acoustic. It's hard because I like them for both for different reasons. But if I'm doing like a set with like some pretty songs and some like more electronic dubstep fun songs, I think that the acoustic violin does just a fine job with the dubstep, but then also has this beautiful like tone quality to it for those like pretty slower songs. Whereas the electric normally can't get that, like the sound that I want. You guys were on in September, right?
I was on September.
I was on it in November. So over Thanksgiving.
November was, so I actually broke my acoustic violin, a piece of it on this past contract. And so I got it fixed. We're all good. That's why I was not playing my acoustic, which I probably would have been. I had to resort to my electric, which is kind of the backup because it's made of plastic. So it's like, well, the weather can't change it too much.
I didn't really think about that because obviously with the kind of salty sort of wet sea air and everything like that would have an influence on the wood and the strings itself, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what I was trying to tune a peg. And I'm like, I mean, I've been playing for 11 years now, 11, almost 12. And so I'm like, I know how to tune a violin and I've never broke a peg, but I was trying to tune the violin. And I think the humidity and just like the drastic climate change from Utah to Florida and being on the sea constantly was just a lot for my violin to handle. And I think it just swelled up and didn't want to budge. And then I broke it.
Did you perform in public places besides like school bands or I don't know, orchestras, things like that? Did you perform prior to getting your Disney Cruise contract?
Yes. I honestly would like to call myself more of an entertainer than a musician sometimes because I love performing. I constantly am looking for a place to perform. Even during high school, I would set up little concerts. I program my own lights to my shows and I'll like rent out little venues for my own shows and I'll like charge ticket sales. That's the goal. I want to be like a headlining tour eventually. So I'm like kind of forcing it into the world. I'm like, I want this. And actually tonight I got home and I was like, oh, I miss performing violin within like the first 2 days. So I reached out and I'm actually really excited. Tonight I am playing the national anthem at the NBA basketball game.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it totally does. Yeah. So being on the ship then, one of the things that I thought was kind of cool about watching your set, and totally drawing a blank in the bar too, or the lounge. It's just the main lounge.
It's called the District.
The District.
Yeah.
Yeah. Down in the District there. But one of the things that I was kind of struck me, and I'm not sure if you got to play in the larger theater or not, but kind of how intimate it was and the way you were able to interact with the audience. And we'll talk about Taylor Swift here in a second, but you were doing the Taylor Swift set and there was like three little girls that were out. I know they were out dancing to your songs and everything like that. And I could tell you were having a fun time with them. What's that like to be able to connect with your audience like that?
That's my favorite part of performing is like getting to know people, getting to like see different cultures, which is another thing I loved when I got offered the contract on the cruise. I was like, I get to meet so many people of different like backgrounds. I love engaging with the audience because like, to me, if I will go to a show, I don't want to like sit there and I feel like it's kind of boring to just sit there. Like you go to a movie theater to just sit there and watch the show and they can put in all of the CGI and like the crazy effects. And that's why it's different. But a live performance, I feel like the best performers engage with the audience because then you get to know them, they get to know you, and then it's something they remember. And that's like, as Christy came up to me and was like, oh, we would love to have you on this podcast. That's something that's memorable for me. Like that's like from memorable. Sorry. That's something memorable for me because I have never been on a podcast. So then it's like, I'm making connections and that's kind of what life is about, is the connections we make. So
let's go back to just a couple of minutes ago. You were talking about, you had a story about actually getting on the ship. Let's go back a couple minutes. You were talking about just getting on the Disney Dream itself. Could you tell us the story about getting the contract to work with Disney Cruise Line?
Yes. This is actually a really fun story. It's a very A Star Is Born of me. But so I was working at a restaurant and I actually was working at a restaurant that my ex got me at the job. It was an interesting situation. I just didn't feel very respected there at all. And so I was wanting to get a different job anyway. I was looking at different jobs. And my friend's mom, my friend that I did a cover with a few years back, her mom just keeps tabs on me, which is really sweet. And out of nowhere, she texted me while I was at work and was like, Disney is looking for a violinist. And I was like, what? I was like, that's insane. I was like, that's not real. What? I looked up, I like snuck my phone out because this job, like we couldn't use our phones. It was very restrictive. I snuck my phone out. I looked up like the requirements and everything. And I was a really good fit, but the auditions were due in 2 hours. So I asked my boss, I was like, I need to leave. This is the most amazing opportunity for me. And I lived about an hour away from my job. I still had to like rehearse what I was going to do, figure out what I was going to play, and then record it as well. And then also send it in. And my boss was like, no, you can't leave. And I was like, okay, you obviously don't have my best interests at heart. I was like, you need me more than I need you. And I left. And I've never done that before. I am normally like, I'll give you 2 weeks. I'm a very respectful person because I want respect personally. And I would give respect, assuming they'll give me the respect back.
Right.
And I was just like, no, I was like, you don't have my best interest at heart. And you need me more than I need you. And I left. I went home. Thank you. I went home and put together just a bunch of, I was like, they asked for, I think 2 or 3 minutes. And I was like, that's nothing. That's not that much. But I decided to just do like 10, 15 second little clips of a bunch of different styles, a bunch of different songs. Because I was like, this seems like something where they'd want more versatility. They actually got back to me within 10 hours, which was insane. And they were like, we really want to go with you. It was very complicated because of COVID. They weren't open at that point. This was like June 2020 and they weren't cruising. So they were like, we really want to go with you. We're trying to get things figured out. We also need you to like get your medical done and everything. 10 hours later after my audition, they had pretty much offered me the job. And a month later, I was in Florida starting to perform. So.
And then you have to tell the story of how the Taylor Swift set was produced or was thought about.
Okay. Oh, did I tell you this story?
You did. Well, you did. Do you not remember?
I don't know if I remember how this came about.
Well, that was months ago. It was 3 months ago now that you even told the story, but in your hotel room, right? Or so they told you had to come up with like 3 more sets or 2 more sets to play the violin. And you were like, okay, what do I do? And then this is what I remember. And the fact that I can even remember all these details is how memorable you were, because I'm the worst at remembering stuff. So I am
too. So that means a lot to me.
It was so good. So maybe don't tell that story because you don't remember it.
Oh, no, I think I remember that more now, which actually I'm in the same situation because now that I'm going on the fantasy, it's like 7 and 8 day cruises. I have to like double all my sets. I think the plan is to do the Taylor Swift idea, but with a bunch of other artists as well, and have like Dua Lipa, Taylor Swift, The Weeknd, and then also have like the decade of music where there's like a mixture of different artists. But one thing I learned with doing the Taylor Swift set is people that like that artist will come and then they'll really enjoy it. They'll come to multiple sets. Mm-hmm. And so if I do that with other artists, then I'll have even more of a diverse audience with me enjoying that.
Diversity. I'm kidding.
Yeah, no diversity. That's who cares? No, it's not a necessity at all.
Okay, do some Pink too. I've decided.
Pink. I'll write this down.
Let's talk about what it's like to be on the ship, Jordan, as far as once you finally got on. I mean, that must have been kind of a big moment for you to get on a cruise ship for the first time and then just experience life there. And I think, Chris, you had a question.
I am nosy and I just want to know, like, did you make friends? Was it fun? Is there like a social life? I feel like if the casts of the theater get cast together, they rehearse together, but you're a solo act. So how do you like meet other folks on the ship and like make a life for yourself for 3 whole months?
I think for me, I'm pretty decent at making friends. I just love getting to know people. And so I got on the ship and was like guns blazing, ready to make all these friends. Actually, I had to quarantine 2 weeks before I got on as well. So I was like, I got the vaccine and then quarantined for 2 weeks in a hotel. So I was incredibly bored out of my mind. I hadn't seen humans in 2 weeks. And I was like so excited to see people. I don't know, like speaking for another solo artist, I don't know if they were if they were more of an introvert, I think they would actually have quite a hard time making friends because of that. The cast, they rehearse together, they become friends. Also the schedule, they have to have things going on at different times. So it's like they do a performance, like you do a performance and then go to dinner while they're performing. And then they go to dinner while you're doing another one. And so you don't really get to see them until like the end of the night. And most of the time we're exhausted. It was kind of hard to coordinate schedules, but I would just stop by. I would say hi to some of the people that became my friends on this contract. And we would just even talk for like 5 minutes at the end of the night. So I didn't feel like I was going crazy. being in the hallway with all these performers that were on the bigger stage, the Walt Disney Theater, it was really cool. They are so talented. And they're off contract now as well, that cast. They've all kept in touch with me. We're texting all the time. It's like I've made friends and they're all dispersed throughout the world. So it's a really cool experience for me.
Were the other performers mainly your friends then on the contract?
Yes. And then actually close to the end, we just have very similar brains. We're performers are performers.
Creatives,
yeah.
right?
We clumped together, close to the end of the contract, about a month before the end, I started playing volleyball on the crew beach. And so I met some people from the restaurants and stuff, like some of the waiters, like servers. They became really close. I became really close with them as well. I haven't played volleyball in forever. It was fun to like do something different because I was just like rehearsing, playing. So, but other than that, yeah, I think I was mainly just, I'm a friendly guy. I would say hi to everyone, but I think I was mainly like close friends with the cast and then a few of the servers and waiters.
What were your accommodations like?
Oh, like my living quarters and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I will say it's probably the smallest room I've ever been in my entire life.
Was there a window?
No. But I made it look pretty good, I have to say. I, as a violinist, and I think most of the performers as well, got a single room with like either their own bathroom. I had my own bathroom.
Nice.
I can't speak for them. I know some of them had to share rooms, which I could not imagine doing. But I set up like some cool tapestries. Oh, yes.
Do you draft it into your future contracts now to say that you get a single? Like, could they put you in a room with somebody else in the future?
Oh, no.
Write that
if
stuff
they
in.
did, I would say nah. Also, I'm not used to, like, I've never been on a cruise before until this. And also we couldn't get off the ship for the first long time. I was like, yeah, we're going to have to make some accommodations if I'm going to do this for another 4 months.
Where did you guys eat, or where did you as a performer eat? Like in cabanas?
I could eat in cabanas. As a performer, I had the
access.
Yeah, we'll go with access. Oh, privilege. That's the word I was looking for. As
privilege.
A performer,
to eat.
Exactly. As a performer, I had the privilege to eat in cabanas and like the upstairs fast food service, which some people couldn't. And I was like, whoa. We could put in our like requests to eat in like the really nice dining, like Palo and stuff. I never actually ate in Palo.
You have to. It's so good.
I'm excited to try it. Do they have Palo on the Fantasy or something similar?
They definitely do. They also have Remy, which is the real fancy.
Remy's better now. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, well, it is better. It's just fancy and like 4 times the price.
I want to try the a la carte menu, side note, but Palo's on every ship, including Palo? No, I heard Remy has an a la carte menu too.
Oh, fancy. So that we just go and order an appetizer and then leave?
Well, probably not. They probably want you to spend a certain amount, but I'm like, I don't necessarily trust the chef to meet my refined palate, but I do trust myself to pick things I would like. But this is all a sidebar, not about violin music. We all agree that you should try Palo though, because it's a whole mood and it's delicious.
Perfect.
Could you eat in the lower like the crew restaurants downstairs too?
Yes. And actually a lot of times I did, like if I was in a really big hurry, I would like run to the crew area because it was right underneath the district in the crew areas. And so it was like, if I needed to eat in between like a set and I just wanted to be really quick, I would go there. Some days I felt more of like celebrity feeling, than others. Some days I was like, this is tough. And other days I was like, oh, I feel like a celebrity. And it's like those days I'd be like, I can't go out like this. All these people are crowding me. But awesome. I played it off like in my head so I could survive the contract. It's don't get me wrong. It is fantastic, but it definitely is a lot. Yeah. Mm-hmm. People don't realize that's actually something I've gotten so many like story replies and people DMing me, like my friends from here in Utah throughout the contract, and they're like, and even my family is like, oh, it's you're living the dream. And you're like, you're in the Bahamas. Like your life is way better than ours. You can pay for us to do things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm like, here's the thing. It's fun and it's a completely different lifestyle. But until you do it, you wouldn't fully understand it and how much work it actually is. Like Taylor Swift, these performers, like they get paid a lot for a reason and they're performing once a night and maybe like a talk show before. Me doing 4 or 5 sets a night is like, whoa.
And is that what you did? 4 or 5 sets typically?
Yes. Until I broke my acoustic violin and then I did 3, which I'm like, maybe I should do that again.
Yeah.
So we're, working that much. And unfortunately at this time, you weren't allowed to get off the ship when they stopped in the Bahamas but you could get off at Castaway Cay, I guess, right?
We could, yes.
Okay. So that was nice that you guys could at least get off there. I know for those like in the Wonder, when they were in Mexico, they were not allowed to get off at all, which that makes it tough. That's a long time on board a ship. But where did you kind of relax? Where did you find time to relax on the ship after those long sets?
Honestly, I feel like it changed, but like it changed multiple times. At the beginning of the contract, I would love to just relax on deck 4, like sit on those like chairs. I don't know, like
those
like
wooden ones.
The wooden chairs.
Yeah.
I would write in my journal. I'd listen to music. I know this is crazy, especially as a musician. I feel like musicians normally read, but I haven't read since I was like 12. It wasn't something that was a big deal to me. And I started reading Daring Greatly. I brought a bunch of books on the cruise ship thinking I wouldn't have Wi-Fi at all. So I brought Daring Greatly and I actually finished it. It is a phenomenal book. It's by Brene Brown.
Love Brene.
And she is amazing. I will say, like, I've never read anything else by her because I just didn't read very much, but I definitely will. It influenced a lot of my sets, actually. Like when I would read the book, I'd learn something new and then I'd say something about it during my set. But it also was just like a really good book to be reading, to like have a lot more emotional maturity and like to grow as an individual, especially being alone most of the time. It was a really good book. I also would relax. I think, was it deck 13? I think it's deck 13. There's this like really cool lookout spot that I would tan on a little bit whenever I was allowed to. Sometimes they decided like just randomly, they'd be like, you can't do that today. And I'd be like, okay.
Do they have the police up there or something like that?
No,
Who's coming to you and telling you can't tan?
I wish I knew their name because I would tell you, and I would hope that they...
Captain Minnie. She's tough.
She would never.
Yeah.
No, if anyone, it was Donald Duck.
It was probably Donald, honestly.
Such a grump, such an old dad.
Seriously. I definitely am not as tan as I was. Like, that's something, it just like went away almost instantly. And I'm like, okay, we're tanning more when I get there in January. It's going to be an everyday, it's going to be a ritual.
Yells at you.
Yeah, seriously.
How long is your January contract?
I think it's about 4.5 months again.
Okay.
I go till May something.
Okay.
And then you take another break and then you have another contract after that?
Actually do. They offered me a second contract in a row.
Where are you going?
I'm going back to the Dream, actually.
Oh, go to the Wish. We need you to go to the Wish. No, the Wish.
So I actually went to the cruise director, I think 2 months into my contract, and was like, I'm the type of person that just like asks for what I want.
Absolutely. As Chris and I, Steve probably never asks for anything in his whole entire life.
Except to pass the simulator test.
Yeah.
What simulator?
So he has to he's a pilot. So he has to like
not crash planes, but practice not crashing them once a year.
I think that, Chrissy's got a question, but I want to just throw one other one out there. Did you perform like before the meals at all? Because they always have like a couple like in front of Royal Palace as people are getting ready to go. I would think that would be a good spot for you too, with the violin in the evenings. Did you do anything like that, or was it always in the district?
Oh, that's a really good question, because that just like brought me back to the very beginning of my contract. So I actually started playing in the district, and then I would do 2 sets in the Royal Palace with the pianist until I broke my acoustic violin.
Oh.
But about 2 weeks into my contract, because like things were slowly opening up a little bit more, I guess 2 weeks isn't that slow, but it felt like a long time for somebody stuck on the ship. But they had me perform in the atrium. I performed there twice and it was so much fun. I did the Lindsey Sterling dance thing and everyone went crazy. They all loved it. You know, like when you're in the atrium, there's like the tiers. You've got deck 4 and deck 5 and you can look down and people were crowding. And
is that why they had you not keep going?
Exactly. And so it was super fun, but they were just like, this isn't feasible right now due to the pandemic. So I kept performing in the district and I performed most of my contract as well in the Royal Palace.
What surprised you the most about being on Disney Cruise Line for 4 months?
One of the things that was a very big surprise to me was how well I was treated. I will say that. I had heard from a lot of people that cruise lines aren't the best to their employees. I don't know if that's true with Disney as well, with like other employees, but as a performer, I really was treated well. Any requests I had, they would try and accommodate me for. I always, as a performer and as my own business, I love to grow. I always want to grow. I always want to do something new. At my shows at home, like since I program my own lights, I always want to add new lights. I want to add new effects. I want to do something cool. That was something that was hard for me, was not being able to do that with Disney and not being on the bigger stage. But they were very accommodating of me with those requests. I asked them if I could play the guitar and sing. And my assistant cruise director, my manager, was like, well, I don't think you can sing right now because of COVID, but let's add it in. And he came and listened to me and he was like, yeah, you sound like professional. Like we didn't think you wouldn't. When things open up more, you can. And then I ended up doing some looper stuff with my guitar and playing the violin. Like I always wanted to change something. The techs were also very accommodating. They were very sweet because I had so many requests all the time. I was always like, can we do like a little bit more reverb? Can we turn it up just a little more? Anytime I had requests, they were almost always met. Except for when I was like, hi, can I be on the Walt Disney Theater?
Yeah. Good for you.
We'll see. It's going to happen eventually.
Oh yeah, for sure it will. Dreams, goals.
Your stage presence is so big that I think you would easily fill the Walt Disney Theater.
See, I agree with you 100% there, 110% actually. And I think honestly, if COVID like restrictions and everything weren't in place and they could fill the entire theater, I think that I would still be just as personable as I am in the district. And I think it would be so much more fun because like at the Taylor Swift set, we have people crowding and it's super, super busy. Even if they were to put me in a bigger venue like Evolution or the D Lounge, I think that I would be able to thrive a little bit more.
Would you be able to, do you do the Taylor Swift set like on a 4-night cruise more than once, or is every set only once?
So I do repeat a few sets here and there. I never repeat the Taylor Swift set because I want everyone to come. It's exclusive. You know, I want everyone to be there at one time.
So all of our listeners that are going on the Fantasy this winter need to make sure to check the Navigator for first time that the Taylor Swift cover set is on so that you can visit because it will potentially not be repeated.
This is true. Well, and we don't know because with the Fantasy, with it being 7 and 8 day cruises, I might want to play it like every 4 days. And so it might be twice on the Fantasy.
More time with Taylor.
Exactly. More time with Taylor. Honestly, that's a good set name. Time with Taylor.
I like it.
That's cute. I actually really like that.
So I have another question. What was your favorite thing to eat on the Disney cruise?
Okay, I have 2 things. I'm going to go with 2 things. Actually, 3 things. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. First thing, I loved the bacon cheese brie panini.
Why don't I know this exists? Is this over at the quick service?
Yes. And it doesn't taste like quick service. And I honestly, it's not really that quick service because
I know, but
like, it's not a hamburger, you know, like I feel like it was a little bit more healthy.
Bacon cheese panini?
Yes. Bacon cheese brie panini.
Writing this down, people, writing this down.
So good. Please do. And then I loved being able to eat the fruit. The fruit was really good. I love pineapple. That's my favorite fruit.
And they cut it up for you. It's so kind of
Yeah,
them.
I don't have to cut a entire pineapple. See, that was like, those are the nice, I get home and I'm like, I have to cut a pineapple. That is the one drawback of being on these cruises is I get home and I'm like, I have to clean my own room. I have to like
Do they clean your room then?
They did. It was very nice.
Like once a day or once a week or?
It was twice a week for me. Fun fact. Not everybody gets their room cleaned. I felt very, very celebrity-like.
Oh, so like performers or certain levels or certain departments or something. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Exciting.
But then, okay, when my family came on board, I had my mom come on for her 50th birthday.
That's so sweet.
And isn't it? I was like, I'm such a sweet child. So good.
Steve, just so you know, Jordan's mom celebrated her 50th birthday on the cruise. I just feel like that should sink in for a second.
Yeah, I don't.
Steve and I are the older ones. We're all 10 years apart. Chris is like 34. I'm 44-ish, I think, 44. And Steve has to be then 54.
70, something like that. Anyway.
73.
Yes. As a performer, I feel like I'm 80, so it's okay. I'm like, first of all, well, when are we going to get to like the headline touring, stadium tour stuff, you know? But second of all, because I've been like editing videos and like putting together YouTube stuff and like,
oh yeah,
now it's onto TikTok and I've been like trying to write music and I've released my album and I've been working like this since I was like 14. And without having that huge breakthrough, Disney really helped. But without having a huge breakthrough yet, I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm 80 years old because I'm putting in all this work, but like not as much of a return as I would like it.
Totally understand that. Okay, you were telling us about having your mom though on board for her.
Oh
50th.
yes, totally. This relates to the food. Brought my mom on for her 50th, so we ate in like I got to eat with her and my sister in the fancy restaurants, the main dining rooms. They were fancy to me as a crew member. The chocolate donut is so beyond amazing.
Is this a breakfast thing?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I don't know about the chocolate donut. I mean, I can't eat gluten, so my food is different. But do you guys know about the chocolate donut?
No, I don't eat breakfast in the main dining room though.
Where did you eat breakfast?
I always get Eggs Benedict.
Cabanas or I don't know. I'm not huge on breakfast. Most of the time I just go to the Cove.
Get coffee.
Okay.
So chocolate donut with mom.
Chocolate donut with mom. I remember the first time we had breakfast in like the main dining rooms, they were like, would you like a donut? Would you like and I was like, a donut? I was like, I haven't had a donut in like 3 months.
So they don't give you Krispy Kremes down in the crew areas then? Because aren't there Krispy Kremes, or there used to be pre-pandemic at least, right? In Cabanas, you guys? But anyway, go on.
I don't know if they're Krispy Kreme, but they're the vibe.
Krispy Kreme copycats. Okay, so chocolate donuts. Gypped. Haven't had it in months.
Yeah. So I was just like, I got a regular donut and then they were like, you need to try the chocolate donut. And we were like, we don't like chocolate donuts. Like it's like a piece of bread with chocolate on it. They brought this donut and literally, I kid you not, they like went to grab us maybe some water or something. I don't know, brought us our food. And we were like, hi, can we get 4 more chocolate donuts? We like ran them. I remember the last day we were like, can we get a chocolate donut for breakfast? And they were like, we're actually all out. Like we ran them clean of their chocolate donuts.
That's awesome.
And that's why there's no more chocolate donuts on the ship.
Ever again.
Exactly.
It sounds better than your beignets, Chris.
Oh, not a fan. I feel like, wait a minute. Are you describing
you don't like beignets?
Yeah. Wait, what?
Listen, I love beignets. The beignets on the Walt Disney Wonder are like yeast rolls.
There are beignets on the cruise lines.
Don't get excited.
Just on the Wonder.
Don't get excited.
Okay.
The beignets at Disneyland are chef's kiss. The beignets over at
French Quarter, Chris.
French Quarter.
Have you had those?
Yeah, I've had them. They also have a beignet 5K where you run a 5K and at the end they hand you some beignets, like goals.
We need to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to be part of this. Okay. I just found out you can like ask for a 5K little bracelet thing. Like you don't actually have to do it.
Well, you should do it. Oh, how are you going to walk around with your medal and not actually do the 5K? I know.
This kid came out and I actually did the 5K, I think twice, and I never got a medal.
I think you probably played enough volleyball to get credit for a 5K there, Jordan.
That's true. Honestly, they should make a custom volleyball necklace for me.
You should do that before you get on the fantasy.
Okay, I'll be honest and say that I'm not like a total Swiftie, but I am a TikTok obsessed person, which means the algorithm has shown me plenty of T Swift. And I definitely probably would know your set just from TikTok. So that's exciting. But my question is, what era of Taylor would you say is your favorite era? Are you like a country version of her, or the more recent like indie folks, or like a pop singer Kanye era? What's your vibe?
Okay, so I definitely
I actually feel it's offensive, actually. Excuse me for 1 second, Jordan,
to say Kanye.
To say Kanye when we're talking about Taylor Swift.
That's exactly what I just thought.
All of our listeners will know what we are talking about that actually care. So
I was just about to say, Christy, I don't think all of our listeners will
that know Taylor.
But my point is that the album that she won Album of the Year for, where Kanye interrupted her, that's what I was referencing.
Okay, but it wasn't her techno album, which is what it sounded like, maybe more of your question. So, Jordan, I love Taylor Swift. I'm telling you, there are things I know.
This is why we clicked.
Yes.
To answer your question, like I was saying, all of her eras have a place in my heart somewhere, but I love Reputation for the fact of, one, I am an electric violinist at heart, and do the dubstep Lindsey Stirling thing, but also her tour, I didn't get to see her Reputation tour in person, but it was phenomenal. From the videos I've seen, from the Netflix movie that she released, I want to do something that big eventually. I think that the fire, everything she changed certain parts of the songs for just tour versions, and they were just phenomenal. And so that one's definitely the Reputation. And it's just so dark, and like my original music, it kind of has a more minor dark feel to it. And I love the Reputation.
Well, I'll have to go listen to that album.
We were in sync until our favorite Taylor album time, but that's okay. We're still fans. It's fine. I think Lover, not that anybody asked, but Lover, I think, is my favorite album.
Lover's overall good. I mean, there's a reason that I have only done Lover and Love Story as covers. Both of those are very important to me too. So I've done no covers of Reputation, which is crazy.
Because there's nothing you can do a cover for.
Oh, trust me, I will. Now it's a challenge.
Yes, and please send it to me. So link me when you post it on Instagram.
And perfect. Steve's favorite is the 10-minute version of All Too Well. He's listened to it about 6 times an hour, every hour for the past month.
I actually do like that song.
I feel like that's probably a joke, but it's not for me.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy. I feel called out.
No, not at all. Well, as we kind of finish up here, I got a couple of rapid fire questions for you, Jordan. How do I say this the right way? I hope we aren't giving anybody the idea to only go and see you when you're doing your Taylor Swift set, because we saw you do was it called Through the Decades?
Decade of Music.
And I thought that was an amazing set as well. So definitely when you get on board the Fantasy, get on the Navigator app and check out and find out when Jordan's playing. And I hope you get a chance to be able to play in the lobby as well, because I think that your music would just fill that, not to mention your presence as well. Just make sure that you go out and do it. But here's a couple rapid fire questions for you if you're ready.
Sweet.
All right. Favorite Disney character?
Peter Pan.
Favorite Disney movie?
Peter Pan.
Stressful. Peter Pan.
All right. Since you're a musician, favorite Disney song? Do you have a favorite Disney song?
Ooh, it changes, but I think we're going to go with right now. Can this be considered Disney? The A Million Dreams from The Greatest Showman. At least my rendition of this. Great. Both of my dream teams. A dream is a wish your heart makes.
Chris, you seem to have a reaction to that.
Well, a dream is a wish your heart makes counts, but a Pasek and Paul song from a merger is less Disney than I was hoping for. But you gave us a real Disney answer, so it's fine.
Okay, sweet.
It's tough here. Okay, do you guys have any other rapid fire questions here? Because we already touched on favorite food and in a restaurant. How about a favorite restaurant? Did you have a favorite restaurant on board the ship?
I am a little biased. I really liked Enchanted Gardens, but I think Royal Palace, because that's where I was playing. But Enchanted Gardens, I felt like the food was maybe a little better, and Royal
I think
Palace.
you're the only person who's ever had that opinion in the history of the show.
Seriously?
I think so.
We
It's
celebrate we celebrate diversity.
We do.
I can
We
tell you
love
my
all
least
opinions.
favorite.
Okay, go
Okay.
for it.
Animator's Palace or Palette.
Palette. Mhm.
I always thought it was Palace. And actually the cruise director would say Palette. And I was like, she's wrong. But I was wrong. So, but Animator's Palette, what's his face from Nemo? Was
Crush.
screaming at all of us. And it was the first night. And so I hadn't seen my mom and my sister in like 3 months.
You're trying to
And I
have
was
a
just trying
conversation.
to have a conversation with her. And as like Crush is screaming at us. And I was like, it's fine. Everything's fine.
What is your favorite Disney theme park?
Okay. So Disneyland. Oh, I know what that
That's
is.
correct. Yes.
Disneyland.
Have you ever been to Disney World?
I have.
I mean, it's fine that it wasn't your choice. I just wanted to make sure you've been there.
Yeah. And the thing is, I've never been to Animal Kingdom.
Mm.
So I have to go there very soon. I might actually go before my next contract. But Disneyland, I was born in California and I had a annual pass till I was like 4 or 5. I just kind of grew up on Disneyland. Also, one of my favorite rides in the entire world is Indiana Jones, and that's not in Disney World. So,
Good answer. It's fair. It's fine.
yeah.
I accept it.
But also my second favorite ride was probably Tower of Terror, and they just removed that from California Adventure. I mean, it's still there,
But it's not.
but it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's so funny because some people like what is it called? at
Guardians.
Disneyland? Guardians better. And some people like the Tower of Terror better. But there's like a real divide.
There is
Over that
It's like,
ride.
I want to connect that. Maybe I should make a TikTok on that. Like, if you like Guardians of the Galaxies, you're crazy. No, I'm kidding. It's I will say the Guardians of the Galaxies ride is, I feel like the drops are a little better. I think the theme of the Tower of Terror was better, in my personal opinion.
No wrong answers here. Well, before we get out of here, Jordan, what haven't we talked about that you would like to pass on to our audience?
I don't know why this pops into my head, but I'm very excited for this. I don't know exactly what the plan is with the fantasy, but it sounds like I will be playing in like different locations more than just the district area,
Oh, yay.
which I have no idea what it's called on the fantasy. But it sounds like I might be playing before the Walt Disney shows.
Ooh.
So
Ooh.
I can't be 100% sure, but I think that would be really fun. I will say I also I'm going to have a lot more sets. I'm very excited. And I don't know if I said my third contract, which like I said, very Tom Holland, like to spoil things. I will also be back on the Dream July to November. And I actually have no idea what that is because the Wish, like all the itineraries are changing. I
It's
don't know
4 and
what
5
the Dream will
nights
be
out of-
doing.
Yeah, it's 4 and 5 nights out of Miami.
Where are they going? Do you know?
Like they go to Cozumel and I don't know where else, some places.
Probably Castaway Cay for sure.
Yes.
So, well, that's good to know because I've never been to Cozumel.
Well, I think too, you'll get same day, like you'll get cell phone service at Cozumel without a surcharge. So that'll be exciting.
Oh, that's so nice. Well,
Mhm.
okay. And here's my thing is as going to the fantasy with 7 and 8 day cruises, I really, really hope to be able to get off and port in like Mexico and the Cayman Islands because I've never been. And I don't want to just sit there and like stare at Jamaica for the first time and like not be able to step on land. So
Fingers
that will be
crossed.
very hard for me if not. So crossing our fingers.
And last question for you, Jordan. I hope you get off as well, because that's going to be tough. What advice would you give others
Mhm.
who are looking, now that you're an expert because you've done it now? What advice would you give others who want to kind of follow where you've been?
I would say 1, have more sets planned than you think you're going to need because you'll get bored of the music. 2, one of the things that I feel like I did really well, which not everybody's the same, be very flexible because I went in thinking like, oh, I'm going to be this like crazy performer. And it was more, I was contracted as background music and I didn't really know that from the beginning. Somehow I just turned every set into a show and it was really fun, but it just really depends. It is exhausting and it takes a lot of energy. People are like, well, I'm working a 9-to-5 job, like 8 or 9 hours a day. And when I broke my acoustic, I was only working 2 hours a day. And when I had my acoustic, I was working 3 or 4 hours a day. And people are like, you're getting paid like almost like more than full-time pay some places, and you're working less than part-time. And they think that it's super glamorous, but it's very exhausting, and it takes a lot emotionally out of you to be on stage and be 100% and giving 100% at all times. Because personally, as a performer, I don't want to get on stage and give 80 or 90%. I want to give 100 or 110% and be able to meet all of the guests. So,
well, I know you've got a YouTube channel and also a Facebook channel, and then also a website as well, Jordan, for our listeners and people who want to kind of connect with you and follow with you. Where's the best places for them to connect with you?
That's also a good question. I will say most of anything that I'm like releasing and like any tour dates and shows, especially in Utah, will be on Instagram or my website, which is just jordancaswell.com. My YouTube, not my favorite place yet. I will eventually put some work into some better videos now that I'm getting some income through music, because I definitely want to give back to my audience and my viewers. So YouTube will be better soon. I'm getting into TikTok. Instagram is probably the best place right now, though.
The place Steve blocks out of his mind.
Yeah. Okay. So for people that are into social media as well, I do have iTunes, like Apple Music and Spotify, and that's the best place. Spotify has the most content. So,
well, as we kind of finish up, Chris, final thoughts or questions for Jordan?
No, just great to meet you. Thanks for coming on. I'm so excited. I hope one day I get to be on a cruise and hear your set, because of the 3 hosts, I have never heard it. So I want to hear it.
Fake fan. I'm just kidding.
I know.
Christy, any final thoughts?
No, apparently I have a final thought because I'm talking, but thank you again for sharing your music with us and for coming on. And it's been wonderful having you on today.
For sure. Thank you so much. I've loved being on. So
yeah, thank you so much, Jordan, for coming on. Thank you for sharing kind of your story with our listeners. I all 3 of us, and I know encourage you, if anybody's going to be on the Fantasy anytime soon and then on the Dream this summer, to go out and check out Jordan's show. You will love it. Make sure you go ahead and follow him as well and all the different social media spots, especially Instagram, where I am not. I'm myself there. But in all seriousness, is it tonight for the NBA game too?
Yes. I'm not sure if the national anthem is broadcasted on the TVs and everything, but yeah, tonight
that
at
is
7
super cool.
p.m.
Enjoy that experience and all the best to you. So, and as we get out of here, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all of that type of stuff as we kind of move through the season. So
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, everything back to you all as well.
All right, Jordan, thanks again. And we will look forward to seeing you out on those Disney ships soon.
Sweet. So nice to chat with you all.
Well, that's going to wrap up our show today. Once again, I really want to thank Jordan for coming on and sharing his experiences sailing with Disney Cruise Line and kind of getting to know him as a performer and his background and where he came from. And for those of you sailing on the Fantasy coming up here in January and on through the winter into the spring, look for Jordan on board and make sure you go down and check out some of his shows, because he's just a delight to watch perform in person. Also, you can go to jordancaswell.com and you can connect with him there. You'll be able to find out where he's going to be playing next. Also, there are links to some of his music, so you can buy it there. And you can find quite a few videos over on YouTube, as well as connecting with him in Instagram as well. Well, if you've enjoyed this show and you know others who would enjoy talking about Disney Cruise Line and cruising, and we sure would appreciate it if you'd pass it on to them. That helps us get the word out in the Disney cruising, the Disney, and just the cruising community in general. And we'd also like to give a huge shout out to our Patreon supporters. They help bring this show to you each and every week without any type of ads in it whatsoever. If you'd like to support our show, you can go over to patreon.com/DCL podcast and find out all the information there. Well, between now and our next show, for those of you heading out on Disney Cruise Line, heading down to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Adventures by Disney, or if you're getting ready for that Princess Weekend for Run Disney, on behalf of myself, Steve, Christy, and Chris, all of us here at the DCL podcast, we want to wish you to be well, enjoy time with family and friends, and we'll see you next time on the DCL podcast.
The DCL podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.